In this video, we will be discussing how ISI Central setups can affect what reports are available and what data is available to report on for users. When setting up a user, we'll first click on Setups and then User. Once I've searched for my user, I'll click on that user here. If we were creating a new user, we'd have to do so with the Add button in the bottom left. We'll click on our demonstration user here. So for the purposes of this video, we'll be focusing on the reports permissions box and the organization reports permissions box. This user already has their basic information. We can see that they're attached to our ISI demo organization and they currently have no access. We can also see that under reports permissions, nothing has been checked. So let's log in as demo and see what effects those settings have. So I've logged in as demo and I'm now in the reports section. And because this user does not have any access to the organization, they do not have a chain reports folder. And because nothing was selected in the reports permissions section, they do not have access to the LubeSoft reports folder. Every user does, however, get a My Reports folder. Okay, I'm back at the edit screen for our demo user. And I want to begin by showing what happens when we give demo user access to the organization. So I'm down here under Organization Reports Permissions. Under Access, I'll select Read. This will do two things. First, it will make any data for stores in this organization available for this user to run reports on. So in that case, I can look over here and see which stores are associated with this organization. So this demo user will have access to run reports against these stores. Also, this will give this user access to the organization's reports folder, and that'll appear as chain reports. I've logged in again as the demo user. And now when we go to reports, we can see demo user has the My Reports folder as well as the chain reports folder. If I hover over, it tells me the chain name is ISI demo. So any reports in the chain reports folder, this user will have access to. They'd be able to run those reports against stores that are part of that organization. We are back at the edit screen now. Up on the top right here, we have reports permissions. And these permissions are associated primarily with the LubeSoft reports folder. As you saw previously, this user currently doesn't have any access. There are no boxes checked here, and so the LubeSoft reports folder does not appear. Ad hoc, if I were to click this box, that would give this user permission to edit reports. You can edit LubeSoft reports, however, they cannot be saved into the LubeSoft reports folder. So there's no need to worry about breaking LubeSoft reports. Reports would have to be saved either in the chain reports folder or in the user's My Reports folder. It is worth noting, however, that ad hoc permission would give this user access to change reports in the chain report folder. That is, if they also have read access to the chain reports folder. Export will allow this user to export as PDF or CSV, so it also allows this user to print reports. Invoice download makes the invoice download feature available. This is the bulk invoice download. Mobile stats relates to isicentral.net/mobile. If you'd like this user to have access to mobile stats and the mobile site, you have to check that box here. The remaining checkboxes here relate to subfolders within LubeSoft reports that go by the same name. So the customer folder, the employee folder, the fleet folder, inventory, promotions, and so on. For the time being, let's select customer reports and save. I've saved my changes and we've logged back into our demo account. Again, I'll click on reporting and we can see a change here that's taken place because of our change settings. We still have My Reports, we still have the chain folder. Now, because I've made changes to the reports permissions, we have the LubeSoft reports folder. If I expand this, I can see we get customers here. which is the box that I checked. If we have any LoopSoft reports available, any boxes checked, dashboards, item grouping, and year-over-year reports come along with those. Those are automatic for all users that have access to the LoopSoft reports folder, in addition to whatever box we checked. If I run a report, here I've selected the detailed vehicle service history report, and I've set a date range. Once the report has run, you'll see that this is reporting against the data in my demo group. But if you notice, along the top here with my tools, I do not have the option to edit this report, and I do not have the option to export this report. So let's change some more permissions and see how that affects our report view. Okay, we're now back editing our user. We're going to look again at report permissions here. As I said previously, the user did not have access to modify the report. They didn't have access to print or export the report because we haven't given them those permissions. So I'm going to check ad hoc. I'm going to check export, and I will also select sales. Now, of course, if you want a user to have access to all reports, you can always click at the top here, either to select or unselect all of those. In this case, I want ad hoc and export. I want customer and view sales as well. I'll save and log back in as our demo account. Again, I'll click on reporting. I have my reports folder, my chain reports folder, my LoopSoft reports folder, just as I did before. But now we can see I have the customer folder in addition to the sales folder. So let's run our report again. Okay, now that our report is run, it's filled with the same information because we're reporting on the same stores, but we have additional icons available up here. We can view the report as PDF. That's part of the export permissions. We have the option to mail, which is also part of the export permissions. And we can also edit our report in ad hoc. If I wanted to make changes here, I could do that by clicking ad hoc. I also have the option to save those changes. That all comes along with the ad hoc permission, ability to make changes and save changes. I've come back to the setup screen to review and to make some final recommendations. As stated, the reports permission section relates to LoopSoft reports. What we can do with those LoopSoft reports, such as ad hoc, export, invoice download, and also the kinds of reports, the subfolders under the LoopSoft reports directory that a user will have access to. And they're named just as those folders would be named. As stated previously, giving a user ad hoc permission gives them the ability to edit reports. You can edit LoopSoft reports, but they cannot be saved in the LoopSoft directory. So you needn't worry about accidentally overwriting or changing a LoopSoft report. That report would have to be saved either in the chain reports folder or my reports folder. It is worth noting, however, that a user with ad hoc permission will have the ability to make changes to reports in their chain reports folder. So it may be worthwhile to save any chain reports folders in a my reports folder to back them up, just in case changes are made accidentally or we want to revert to an older version of the report. That would be a good place to keep those. Additionally, it might also be worth considering carefully if you want a particular user to have ad hoc or export access at all. I would encourage you to experiment with various settings before settling on a policy for your organization and to test those permissions out to decide what will best suit your needs.